He teaches the Parshas Boy the following teaching. It says Le'yer lechachametz, that you should not see. It literally means that you should not see any chametz, any leavened bread. You should not see in your home. There's a prohibition about Yer B'Yamotza. You should not see and not find any chametz in your home during the Yom Tov of Pesach, during the holiday of Pesach. The idea of Lo Yer L'cha chametz to you. So Chazal tell us, that you shouldn't see chametz that belongs to you. So Baal Shem Tov is going to read this a little bit inwards, more personal and more inwards. Baal Shem Tov reads it like this. The Mishnah says, "Ezel chacham, aloy kol adam." So let's just see what the Baal Shem Tov writes. Who is wise? Someone who learns from every man. So the Talmud of the Baal Shem, the Toldos writes, Ki b'roya chesaron zerasoi, yargish ba'atzmei l'sakeh chesaronei. When a person sees a fault in another person, in his friend, somebody else, he should think about this fault, how it exists within himself. And this is what it says, Lo yer l'cha chametz, you shouldn't see l'cha to yourself chametz. What this means is as follows. Baal Shem Tov is teaching us that everything that we see in this world, if we see something, the fact that we saw this and we didn't see something else, means that the reason why we saw it is because there's something of that we saw that also exists within ourselves. The world is essentially our mirror. And if we see a fault in another person, we see chametz in another person, we see that another person has an inflated ego. Chametz is something that rises, bread that rises. We see someone that has an inflated ego. And it troubles us, and it bothers us, and we're disturbed by this person. No, says the Baal Shem Tov, the fact that you're seeing it shows that you have this within yourself, that you're also a person that has some type of inflated ego. Because if you wouldn't be a person that has this attribute within yourself, you would never see it in another person. The only way you can recognize a fault in another person, which you quote unquote see as a fault in the other person, is only because it's something that same defect exists within you. If you see a person that's prone to anger, it's because you're a person that also struggles with anger. And even if you don't struggle with anger on the highest or lowest level like the other person, it must be that you also still have anger in your heart. If you see anger in another person, you wouldn't recognize anger in another person if you didn't have anger. You wouldn't recognize arrogance in another person if you didn't have a level of arrogance. If you never were connected or you're completely eradicated this negative trait within yourself, then you wouldn't see it in another person. And everything that we see, if we see the fault in another person, we see something negative that we assume is negative, we must ask ourselves that question, what is it within our own selves that really needs perfection? So let's understand this a little bit on a deeper level. Essentially, every single relationship, every single encounter, everything that we see, we hear, we come in contact with, there's three elements to the encounter. There's the person that's having the encounter. Let's say a person seeing another person. There's you that's experiencing this encounter. There's the other person that you're encountering. And then there's the creator. So there's me, and there's you, and there's the creator. That's every single encounter. In every single encounter that we have, because everything is b'hashgacha pratis, everything is by divine orchestration, every single detail in life is exactly the way it should be, we have to ask ourselves these three questions. The first question is, when we see something that we see, let's say a negative trait in another person, the first thing that we have to ask ourselves is bein adam lechaver, between man and another person. Which means, is there anything in this person, because this individual is struggling with this issue, is there any way that I can help this person? Let's say you would see a person sliding off the road, walking and about to fall. Your instincts would be to go help this person, not allow this other person to fall. You see an old man walking down the street and he's about to fall, you catch him. So the first thing that you have to ask, the immediate question is, unrelated to me, how could I help that other person? Not in a critical manner, Not to criticize the other person, say, oh, this guy is so arrogant. Oh, this guy is such an angry person. Oh, this guy is so judgmental. Oh, this person is a Machal Shabbos. Not to say that. But what would be the instincts when you see the person's about to fall without the criticism? The issue is, how could I fix that other person? How could I help the other person? And is there room for me to help? Sometimes there's no room for you to help. Sometimes it's not your place. Just like there's a mitzvah to help a person. There's a mitzvah to say what could be heard. The same thing is also a mitzvah not to say something that cannot be heard. So you don't always have to say. Sometimes you have to point it out. You say, by the way, I think you're doing this wrong. Not because I want to criticize you, but I think that if you did it a little differently, you do it in a better way. If you can do that, then you're actually helping the other person. So there is a mitzvah that you have to tell the other person. Only just like there's a mitzvah to say something could be heard, there's a mitzvah not to say when it cannot be heard. So if you know the person will be able to receive it, and you see the fault in the other person, so you're not looking at the fault. Your focus is not on to criticize the other person. It's not to see the negativity. You're just seeing it as you're seeing it. You're seeing the person that's falling. You're not going to say, "Oh, why is the person falling?" Because they're not wearing, the correct shoes. If they were wearing a better pair of sneakers, they wouldn't fall in this wet weather. That's not the cheshbon. That's not something you have to think about right now. The only thing you have to see when an old man is falling on the street, or a young person, wherever is falling, you have to go help them get up. So don't try to say, oh, this person is arrogant and this is the backstory. They're falling. Spiritually, they're falling. They're having a struggle. Try to help them. Without criticism, just try to help them, if you can. If you can, that's the first thing. That's been Adam l'chaver, that's between man and man. That's the first thing. Then the Baal Shem Tov teaches the deeper level, that not only is it about the other, but everything that happens in our life is also about ourselves. It's telling us something about ourselves. Everything. Every single thing we hear, every single thing we see, every single impression, every single encounter, everything that happens in our life is also a question not only about the other, but it's also a question about myself. Why am I seeing it? Why am I hearing it? Why did I observe this thing? Why did I have this encounter? So then you have to ask yourself, okay, I saw this person that was arrogant. Maybe I can help them if I can show them in an uncritical way, between man and man, I can help them to get out of their situation and to help them be a little more humble. Maybe. Okay, that's the question number one. Question number two is, where's the arrogance within me that because of that allowed me to see arrogance in the other person? And how can I work on my own particular trait, my own particular attribute, because I saw it in another person, it must be that I have that same thing within me, to ask yourself, how can I better myself? That's the mirror idea. That whatever you see on the outside is mirroring that image back to yourself, because we don't see things as they are, we see things the way we are. If we're a certain way, that's what we see. If we're in a different way, we see something differently. This is the second level. The third level is Ben Adam L'Makim. So there's Ben Adam L'Chaver, between man and man, a woman and woman. That's the first relationship. The second question is Ben Adam L'Atzmai, between man and himself, herself. And the third question is Ben Adam L'Makim, between man and God. Every single encounter, every single thing we hear, we see, any impression, any situation that happens in our life, the first question that we have to ask ourselves is stop and pause and ask ourselves is, what is our relationship with Hashem, and what is Hashem demanding for us to do right at this point? Take any situation that happens. You're walking down the street yourself, and it's raining. You're holding an umbrella. Just giving a mundane example. It's raining, and all of a sudden the wind comes and the umbrella breaks. The first instincts of humans, of most people, would be, and if you bought the umbrella by the vendor down the street, is that guy's a thief. He sold me a cheap umbrella. I should have bought a more expensive umbrella. Why did I buy such a cheap umbrella? Because I don't have enough money. Why don't I have money? Because I don't have a good job. I hate my boss. I hate my life. And all of a sudden, just because the umbrella broke, your whole life just spiraled out of control. So the first thing is to catch yourself. Before you do anything, say, okay, 5-second rule. 5 seconds after something happens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. In those 5 seconds, say, this, what happened right now, is Hashem's will. Hashem wanted the umbrella to break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now I have to go buy another umbrella. You'll see that all of a sudden, a lot of the tsaras, a lot of the hardships, a lot of the aggravation, a lot of the anxieties that we build in our mind comes because we're reactive right away. We see something, right away react. Something happens to us, we right away react. Pause for 5 seconds, ask the question, Hashem wants something. What does Hashem want from me at this moment? What is Hashem telling me? How is this an invitation to encounter Hashem? How is this an invitation to make a yichud? And a yichud means, a unification means not a very mystical yichud of shemas, of names, divine names. Yichud means that in this situation, there's an opportunity for me to connect with Hashem. Something also a positive thing. But I want to give you a trivial and mundane example. You lose your keys. You can't find your keys. You have to leave the house. There's a whole balagan. Your family's waiting for you. You can't find the keys. And you're the bottle. You lost your keys. It's your fault. You feel terrible. You're running around to find the keys. You maybe give money to Me'al Ness to find the key. I don't know. You're trying to find the keys. All of a sudden you get the keys and there's a big simcha. Pause. There's a big joy. What's the joy? You found your keys. Pause for 5 seconds. Thank you, Hashem, for allowing me to find the keys. I feel simcha, I feel joy in my heart. I want to thank you, Hashem, for allowing me this joy. I want to take this joy and transform it to you and give it over to you. So you pause for those 5 seconds that allows you to just be conscious of yourself and to live in this world in a way that every single situation is an opportunity and an invitation to experience a type of yichud with Hashem, a type of unity with Hashem. What does Hashem want from me right now? How can I be thankful? How can I be grateful? How can I transform this joy? How can I take this joy and thank and say Hodel Hashem? Thank you, Hashem. So this is the 3 levels of encounter in every single experience. The first thing of the experience is to look at something, to see it as it is, whether it's a person or an object or an idea, to see it as it is, to try to let go of the narrative, just to see the thing in itself, to see whether you can actually experience between you and man in a healthy way, not try to be critical, but allow them or help them better their ways, if it's possible. That's the first thing you have to do. The second question is, which is the most important question, what Baal Shem Tov says is, what can I learn from this? What is it telling me about myself? Why do I see it, not somebody else see it? Why was I in this situation that I saw this accident, God forbid, or I was in the situation that I saw this great joy? Because it's teaching me something about myself. I saw this arrogant person, I saw this person in anger. What does it tell me? My own arrogance, my own anger. Turn the question inward and say, what could I learn from it and how can I grow from it? That's the second question. The third question is pause and say, thank you, Hashem, and make that into an experience where it's an invitation to connect with Hashem at this very moment. You pause 3 seconds, 5 seconds, you connect, and then do the question of why it is for me. And this is the deeper teaching, Lo Yachal Chametz. Baal Shem Tov was teaching that if you do see chametz, if you see an inflated ego, if you see someone arrogant, if you see something wrong with another person, the most important question, which is the deepest question, is what is it teaching me? And what is it teaching me will allow me to be a better person to other people and allow me to have a better relationship with Hashem at every single moment. Okay.